Hey, it's Steve Ryder with Keller Williams and Ryder Realty Group here today with more real estate conversations.
And this is Genna with Supreme Lending, taking the emotion out, and let's talk about some logical solutions in today's market.
I like it. Let's do it. Debbie and I, we really push, buying local, working with local folks. What is the importance of working with a local lender like yourself? Just tell me a little bit about how that works, because we stress it to our buyers that it's better to work with someone that knows the local market rather than going to say like a big box like your Wells Fargo or your Bank of America's or Chase or whatever. What is your take on that, and how do you talk to folks when they ask that question?
I think that is a great question that, again, we get asked quite often as a lender. And I think that there's a real reason that's more important than even the knowledge. And like here at Supreme, we're going to be extremely more efficient than a bank.
Right.
Okay. We get out of our own way. We don't have as many overlays, and our teams are honed in for only mortgages. Unlike working at a bank where they're a depository, they have their hands in a lot of different pots. That's what we say, is that they get in their own red tape gets in their way.
They do.
Okay.
They do.
But I think a bigger, more honest and transparent conversation is, how does that person's business run? So if I'm working in a bank as a loan officer, my job is to serve clients that walk into the bank, right? If your client walks into the bank, and I work at Bank of America and I work on their loan, regardless of whether or not I mess up, at the end of the day, I know that my business is not going to be dependent on you.
You're still going to get paid.
I'm still going to get paid at the end of the day,
right?
I'm going to get paid. I'm going to make my income from that person walking in my door because they work at that depository.
Right.
So my goal to be successful, my goal to hit my nails on the head, my goal for that client to walk out of closing screaming how grateful they are and how smooth the process was, really doesn't impact my business at the end of the day.
Right.
When you're working with a local privately ran lender, that lender's reputation runs their livelihood. If I mess up on a transaction, my reputation across the entire local market will be impacted. My family can't be fed. My entire business that I've built off of following through with commitments is at risk if I end up messing up even on one transaction. So it just creates this sense of honesty, transparency, and the extra effort to make sure that, I always say, it doesn't do me any good if a client is screaming my praises during the pre-approval process, right? My goal is that they're screaming my praises at closing.
At closing, you created a fan at the end of the day.
Right. Because that's where really the rubber hits the road, right? Is getting you to that closing table. And if that last week of closing dates are having to be moved, your buyer is super stressed because they're having issues with lending, it's in this constant flux of, is it actually going to happen or not happen? And as an agent, you know that if that's your buyer's experience, they're going to, regardless of whether or not it was you, the lender,
falls on us.
It's going to fall on you at the end of the day. So making sure that we set up a transaction where that process is very smooth, a little bit of proactiveness helps set that up to be successful. And I really think that is the true core of why working with a local lender is more beneficial.
Yeah, and the other part of it for me, as I explained before, is just the face-to-face. Just getting to know that person, because as a consumer, when you call the 1-800 number for Bank of America, you're getting someone probably in Dallas, Texas, or somewhere on the West Coast that sits in a cubicle. And I'm not trying to throw shade here at anybody. I'm just telling you, this is the reality of it. They work 9 to 5, just like you said, the guy and the person in the bank. They could care less whether your deal closes on time or not. Whereas you're face-to-face, you've got to deal with this person, you're local, you know that it's going to impact your business. And just like you said, it's going to impact your business because Google reviews and everybody reviewing online these days are so big for our business. I know they're big for your business as well. So you just got to make sure you pay attention to the details, and somebody that's not local is not going to do that.
Well, and they're not going to know the details of the current market.
Exactly.
Period. They
Right.
in reality can't know the
Right.
details of the
Even
current
if
market.
they did know, they probably, it's not going to be handled the way you would handle it
Right.
being local.
Well, and even like if I have a problem on my end, knowing that I literally have my underwriter's cell phone numbers
Yeah.
to talk through that
Right.
issue with, that I have that personal reputation that we can problem solve together.
Mhm.
Things like that don't happen elsewhere,
Yeah.
where everything's in an email with someone in another state
Mhm.
and they're not able to network and negotiate and work through systems as a team. Instead, it's a yes or no kind of scenario versus a teamwork scenario.
Right. In the other situation you're talking about, you're lucky if you can even talk to directly, either by email or phone, to the underwriter.
Right.
You're lucky if you can do that. So the fact that you can talk with everybody, your processor, everybody that's involved in getting that loan to the closing table is at your fingertips. That's huge.
Right.
That's very huge.
Yep, absolutely. It makes my life a lot better.
Yep.
And it also but because in turn it makes my clients and my agents' life a lot better because
Right.
we're able to completely control that dynamic fully from beginning to end versus a loan officer at a bank is going to start balls rolling and then things get out of their hands.
Yeah.
And are no longer in their control.
Exactly. So you're on task 100% of the time
Mm,
when you're dealing with that particular client.
exactly.
Right.